Alright, so now we need to get in and start to work on the next part. So my thought is, let's establish the legs so that we have a grounding with the base, and then we'll work on the arms, and then we'll work on the head. That seems to be the most appropriate way for us to move forward. If we did anything other than the legs right now, I would do the head. The arms are going to be free floating, so we might do the head before the arms just to make sure we got the clavicle, not the clavicle, but the cervical and the thoracic all set up correctly. Alright, so now we'll go all the way back up here. And let's show the legs. So we're going to show everything. Cool. Alright, out of solo mode. And let's go back into skin shade 4. It's a little easier to see. So first thing we probably want to do is the easy one. Backward sweep there. So that's going to be okay. And then put that right on the great trochanter. In fact, we actually have a bit of a twist. So I'm going to go from the joint right down to the tibial tuberosity there. Okay. Rotate is on, and I'm rotating back. Okay, now these the leg bones are not guaranteed to be the right size. That's something to keep in mind. And then also, if you look at it from below and you turn transparency off, you'll see the patella in one is facing this direction, but in the model it's facing this direction. And that's because we have some rotation in the thigh. So again, that's the femur. So I'm going to use that center dot and rotate that around. I'll turn perspective on, or transparency on and off, just to see if I'm lining up. I am. Okay, and then I need a slight bend in the tibia, the lower leg. So G for solo mode, Q to go into draw, and then Control Shift click, Control Shift click, invert them, Control click to mask, or just mask it out, and there you go. Draw out your action line, and I'm going to go straight down the tibia. G to turn that back on. And it looks like it's a side view and pretty much straight pull back here. Let's see. Because of where I pulled that line, this could go wrong. It could veer off axes, and it does. So I'm going to veer it back. There we go. Perfect. Okay, definitely some problems. So we got to evaluate what is the core problem here. And I'm going to pull this up a bit, assuming that we're going to be yanking the whole thing back. Okay. It's just a series of control clicks. Nothing special. Does it make a difference if I throw this back? Yes, it does. Alright, so one thing to note about what I did, really important, is that I kept the femur and the tibia roughly in relationship to each other. I did bend the tibia down a little bit. I did kind of tilt this out. just a touch, but largely they're in the same place. And then as a whole, I moved them back until the line of the tibia was anchored. Okay, so I'm using the line of the tibia as my anchoring point, and the reason why is because it's the largest bony landmark of the lower legs. It's huge. It's that entire spectrum. So if anything needs to change, I do not want it to be that line of the tibia. That's not what I want to be changing right now, because there's just the space and its depth is just too great. The femur can change. I can just come in here and say add a little bit more of a rotation to it, or I can expand its size. It doesn't matter. That can change. It's largely lost in muscle anyways. So the accuracy of that is not as relevant as the accuracy of the line of the tibia. So we're still off. We still don't have that right. And I'm just making sure we're within range. Draw mode, Control Shift click, there you go. And then rotate, line of the tibia. Okay, so our measurement is off. I'll have to move that patella back. It should not be moving where I am accidentally moving it to. Okay. Alright, we're within range. Okay, let's flatten out the foot. So Control, click and drag to clear the mask. And I'm just going to isolate all of these little tiny parts. And let's put an action line right there along the big toe. Okay, G to get out of solo mode. Look at this from a side view. Probably better if that action line has some connection up to the point of rotation. Alright, and rotation. And am I going the right direction? Yes, temporarily forgot. There's definitely not a lot you can do there in terms of that flexion. So if I want to do much more than what I just did, even if I want to do that much, I mean there is some adjustment you get, some movement you get from the tibia, but anything more than that, and I need to move the whole leg. There we go. Alright, so our issue right now is an issue of length. So we debate, do we adjust the sculpt? Do we adjust the skeleton? And for right now, I'm going to leave them roughly the way they are. And I'm going to work on the other leg to see what other problems I'm going to run into here. That way I can tackle them all at the same time. Cool. Okay, solo mode, rotate, and let's just pick that axis. I'm not too sure about that. I'm going to move it down. Okay, let's check out where we drew the great trochanter, and that's roughly in the right place. So cool. Not too shabby. And while we're here, let's go the length of this. And there's some rotation that we need to build in. So you can see the foot in this direction and then in that direction. So we need to rotate this in this counterclockwise direction. Because that knee is pointing in to provide some leverage. Okay, let's rotate down a little bit. Make sure we're positioned over enough. Okay, there we go. I feel comfortable with that. We've got a couple of elements. We've got a twist. Okay, we have also pulled it in, and we have lined up the all the bony elements that we really need. I think the great trochanter, all of that stuff. So solo mode off, back into draw mode. Okay, mask that one off, and then let's do this along the line of the tibia. Straight down, but then I'm going to move the pivot inside. Let's see if I did that right. No, didn't do it right. That's fine. I'll just move it back myself. Okay, and there is a little give that we have here. Alright, but it looks like we need to rotate more. So in terms of the rotation, I'm going to go from the socket for the pelvis down to the ankle. Those are going to be the 2 points that are really going to work this. And then use the center dot. In fact, let's undo that. But the action line stayed. So I'm going back before my previous attempt. And there we go. What I'm doing is, say, getting the ankle and the knee a similar amount outwards, and then I can rotate them back in from the great trochanter. Voila. It's kind of tough to be getting this all figured out. It's not straightforward. I don't want to indicate that it's straightforward. If you're a touch confused, then you're in the right place. That's just the way this goes. Okay, that's better. And let's get the foot, but I don't need this stuff to show that. Cool. Ta-dun! Alright, so the issue is one of length, and it is one of length in both of the legs. So that's kind of a no-brainer. that tells me I want to stretch the legs. And they're not exactly uniformly positioned, so I'm going to come in with mask lasso and I'm going to say take half of that thigh, and then come in and take half of that thigh, invert it. I'm going to go to masking. It's just easier to do it here. And I'm going to press this something like 10 times. Make sure you're also at the lowest subdivision level. Looks like I wasn't. But see, that makes a massive difference. Okay, move, drag out from the center, or we can drag out from roughly where these guys are changing, and I'm going to press shift and just pull down. That's it. Okay. Could be some things wrong with that, but I think we're okay. Let's turn perspective off for a moment. This leg is okay, this one's not. So there we go. Alright, we got the legs. Turn perspective back on. Let's get this guy rotating around. So we're in range. A couple of things I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the great trochanters, to be honest. They should be pushing out more on one side and pulling in more on the contracted side. I'm not sure about the rib cage, but I think it's okay. I'm moving around and we're doing good. But we do have to adjust the position of certain ribs, like the 8th, 9th, the 7th, and things like that. So that's fine. We can do that. It's not hard. Also, the knee in the extended backwards leg, I need to place the patella and really get that pushed outwards a fair bit. And this is not unrealistic, actually. I mean, it's unrealistic where it's at now, but that much space between the femur and where the patella is going to be is not unrealistic. So again, good position. We've got either the head or the arms next.